Hello, welcome to another episode of.
Now,
Wait, what? Oh, it's on now? Okay. Well,
now,
hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Hot Mess Healing Podcast. So, we have Justin and Kelly here for episode 2.
what's up? Is first the worst, second is the best. So this is the best episode, apparently.
I feel like after this, we should stop saying the episode 1 or 2, because what if we want to use something for later? Because now we're
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
committed.
We don't need to count. We're not good at counting or math anyway, so that sounds good to me.
I'll say I don't like to count. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, Kelly, how has your week been?
Good. Yeah, pretty busy. A couple events going on, but I'm glad it's the weekend. Therapy Land was interesting this week. I had a couple of no-shows, which is always kind of something that I try to explore. Like, I wonder what happens. Why do people no-show in therapy? One, probably the biggest, they're just not ready for therapy. I mean, I know that life comes up and I always give people a free pass for that stuff, but I've had a couple clients now that have no-showed multiple times. So what do you think as a therapist? Why do people no-show or, forget their appointments?
Well, all my people have ADHD, so they usually just genuinely forget, and they just forget therapy exists sometimes.
Okay.
So every so often, I'll do this experiment with someone who's a chronic no shower, or they are always canceling, or they're always late, or whatever. So after 3 or 4 times, I actually just won't check in until at least a day or two later and be like, "Hey, you good?" And then usually what ends up happening is before I even write them back, they'll write me back the next day, and they'll literally be like, "Did we have therapy?" And so a big thing in our practice is everyone's working. One of their goals is literally I want to get to appointments on time. So we deal with no shows. Yeah. I would say maybe it's weird to describe because we get them probably maybe a little more than people normally would, but not as much as people would think at a practice like that. Once they start getting in the groove, they want to come.
Okay. Yeah, for the most part, I would say my clients that really want to be here, they're good. A lot of times I'll have people cancel last minute, which I totally, for me, I know there's a lot of therapists and physicians, massage therapists, whatever, that if you cancel without 24 hours notice, I'm going to charge you the whole fee. Personally, I don't do that because life happens, things come up, emergencies come up. You sometimes genuinely forget. And I always, for me, I don't charge my clients for that. What's your philosophy on charging people for late cancels or?
I usually will charge after maybe I usually give a warning the first time and then usually the second time. And then my policy is after the third time, then we charge a $60 fee. Because I'm just going to say it this, right? Do whatever you want if you're a therapist listening to this, right? But I know some therapists, they'll charge that full fee they were supposed to get. I just don't, because my whole thing is I want to actually encourage you to come here. Yes. So I don't want to penalize you to the point of now you just feel bad and you don't want to come here at all, right?
For sure.
Yeah. And then honestly, to be so real, sometimes I just won't even charge after that because in my practice I just get it and I'm yeah, you're working. Especially if it's their goal to show up for an appointment, then I'm more flexible with them because they're upfront telling me in the beginning I'm bad at this shit, and it's cool, let's figure something out.
And I think that's the key to therapy and life in general is let's figure something out. Let's not penalize people for having to work or having a sick kid or just, sometimes you forget. One time I had a client and I was literally driving to get ice cream. And then all of a sudden it clicked. I'm like, I don't have a free moment right now to get ice cream. I had a client and I had to, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? Life happens. We forget stuff. So yeah, I tend to let a lot slide personally. So yeah, that was my week. It was good. Couple no shows, late cancels, but that's life. So
I was gonna say this whole thing this week, I had a ton of late cancels on my end. So today's episode, we decided we're gonna talk about healthy amounts of disassociation because I feel for this week I needed it. So we have all sorts of stuff on that today.
And so, what is disassociation? If someone's listening and they're like, "What the hell is disassociation? What is that? What does that mean?"
Basically, to put it in the simplest way possible, it's basically I'm here but I'm not here. I'm checked out mentally. I'm maybe here. So, there's different levels to it. So in the ADHD world, disassociation can be kind of a level of my mind is just blank and I am just not thinking about anything, or I'm daydreaming a lot. And then there's disassociation up to an extreme power to where it's mentally you're just not here really at all. I mean, this can go into dissociative. Oh God, what is the personality disorder called? I think you know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, I'm forgetting.
I can't think of the name. Dissociative identity, is that what it's called?
I think.
I'm
Sorry
not a
for all
personality
the
disorder
clinical
person,
therapists that are
so that's
getting
not what I
judged
mean.
right now, but that's okay. That's okay.
We're being
Yes.
judged. It's fine. We went to school.
We're
We promise.
disassociating right now from the DSM. So yes. But
Oh,
yeah, so
and I don't
disassociation.
touch personality disorder, so I'm like, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, me neither. That's what, we're not okay. I feel like we're getting off on a tangent and we've probably lost some of the audience, but that's okay. So
This is
disassociation
the Hot
essentially,
Mess podcast,
it
Kelly. We're
is.
allowed to do that
This is
here.
like real life. So disassociation, does that often occur when people are in a traumatic situation? Because I think a lot of people think of like a traumatic situation, a war zone, something, pretty horrific. Not necessarily, right? It could be in daily.
It can be your daily life, right? So, I mean, it
Mhm.
can be traumatic. That's where it's most often thought of. From my end of the therapy niche, right, a lot of people who have ADHD were disassociating because we're understimulated or bored.
Uh,
There will be, and then even not even that, like sometimes this happens at least once in every therapy session. I'm very open about it with my clients.
mhm.
They will be talking, and sometimes it just happens kind of randomly, where like for 30 seconds, my mind is just blank with them
Yeah.
listening, and
Yeah.
I'm there listening, and I'm there actively there, and then suddenly
Mhm.
I'm not. And I've
Yes.
gotten really good at finding keywords to bring me back when I'm in that state. But like
Mhm.
literally for 30 seconds to a minute, I will just be gone. And then
Yeah.
like, yeah, like it's like
Somewhere
whatever.
else. You're
But we bring it back.
you're physically there, but you're mentally. It's like, how many times have you been driving and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, like I'm driving and you're just like you're somehow autopiloting, but you're not really there. It's like, oh my gosh, but somehow, yeah, you can physically be
I was
present.
gonna say like that's how I wonder like how I get anywhere without getting in a damn car accident. Because I
No, for
swear to
real.
God, I will leave my house and then I'll pull up at wherever I'm at, and I'm like, how did I even get here?
Yeah, because you autopilot. And I think like, I mean, that's a whole other discussion too. Are we autopiloting through life? I think for the most part, if you think about it, when you're out to dinner, when you're walking, people are on their phones. They're like physically present, they're physically walking, but they're not like really in the moment. I feel like that's just a big issue with us in general. Like we can't really be present and in the moment. So we're somehow somewhere else mentally. But so there's been some stories on Reddit and in the news lately that have been interesting. What have we been reading?
Yeah, so we got some new stories for this to fit this topic.
Mhm.
So one way that you can actually kind of have a quote healthy amount of disassociation is by going into nostalgia. And so we have breaking news literally as of like this morning actually.
Mhm.
So Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie are bringing back a new show.
We are so excited about that. That like give me all the early 2000s trends, fashion, TV shows. I'm
I
really excited about this.
I just said this on like literally not even last week on my TikTok. We need like trash TV back.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we need it. We've had like this big era. And honestly, do you remember when the Kardashians were trash TV and then they became glam TV, where it was just them showing how rich they were?
See, and I think that's what's happened to a lot of the like the early reality TV was actually real. Now, like you said, it's glamorized. Everyone has a full glam team. There's also like everyone knows what they have to do on reality TV now. It's not like the real rawness. We need the real rawness back. I agree. Bring that.
Right, exactly, right. We need that real rawness back. Like these are the shows I want to bring back. Like I want to bring back flavor. This is what I watched in like middle school, high school, which I should have
Uh-huh.
been watching this in middle school, by the way, but whatever. But like we love Flavor of Love.
Oh my
We loved
God.
I Love New York. We loved Rock of Love. Like those were my shows when I was like in school, and I've been
Uh-huh.
dying for these back. And then of course we had Jersey Shore too, right at the end.
Yes. We need Brett Michaels back. Is he married? I don't even know.
I
Can
don't
he
know
do
what
another
Homeboy's
show?
doing. I don't
I
really
don't
know.
even know. Maybe we need to find out. Maybe we need to have Brett Michaels on and talk about the show.
If we
We're
can
going
get
to
Brett
have
Michaels on the
to.
show, I'd
Hi,
probably be just
Brett.
happy because
Come
like
join us.
yeah, please come join us. Like, make this podcast like a thing,
Yeah,
right?
we're going to have to
So,
tag him. Brett Michaels, we need you. But yes, so Paris and Nicole are coming back. It'll be interesting too because they're both mothers now, married. One's married to the Good Charlotte singer. Were you a Good
which I
Charlotte
forgot
fan?
about him, by the way.
Is it Joel Madden, right? Or Benji?
Joe Madden. Yep.
One's married to Cameron Diaz.
Wait. No, Benji's married to Cameron Diaz.
And then Joel is Nicole Richie,
Joel's
right?
Nicole Richie. Which, by the way, what happened to Cameron Diaz, by the way, if we're on like the side rant right now?
Gosh, I think that she said that she kind of took a step back from Hollywood to work on really being a mother and kind of getting out of the spotlight for that. And I think like Sandra Bullock did that too. So yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
just really kind of dedicated their lives to motherhood. But I guess now we're in this revival. So I'm ready for this. I'm ready for, yeah, I think that'll be that'll be really interesting. Did they say when it's coming out? Are they filming or what's going on with that?
They have like a premise that they haven't announced yet. They haven't started filming, but they're ready to bring it to streaming networks, and there's a ton of streaming networks right now that are like trying to buy the show up. They already said that it's not going to be like The Simple Life again. It's going to be something totally
Oh,
different,
damn.
but it's going to
Okay.
be some very similar shenanigans, which
Okay.
honestly, I have nothing bad to ever say about Paris Hilton. I don't care what she said. I don't care what she did. I will
Mhm.
always defend that girl with my whole heart. I don't care if she's a rich, privileged, whatever she is.
Mhm. Mhm.
She's been through so much
Yeah.
bullshit. If you watched her documentary, then I'm like,
Oh,
that girl
yeah.
can do whatever she wants at this point, I
Yes.
feel like.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Maybe this will be kind of like her redemption arc, I guess, from Simple Life and showing a different side of her. So, yeah, I'm excited. That'll be.
I am a little bit worried though because I like Nicole's been more private, and so to
Mhm.
me, anytime you see her, she's really poised and really tame, which is fine. She's actually
Yeah.
been doing movies and things like that, so that means she's doing her own thing.
Mhm.
But like, I don't know how I feel about a reality show without Nicole Richie like cussing up a storm and shoving her hand up a cow's ass. You know what I mean?
Yes, and the partying, I mean, I think a lot of entertainment is like watching people partying and embarrassing themselves, and it's
Yeah.
hard. Yeah, that's why, like I said, there's not a ton of that anymore because everyone's so calculated. I feel like everything on TV is very calculated, even reality TV. Whereas back then, it was just like, oh, okay, this is real. We didn't realize there was like that whole, what is it, fourth wall or whatever, and yeah, so
Well,
we'll
the
see.
other part of it too is now we have it set up to where everything you make is like made for social media and you build the show
Yeah.
around that. So it's like you have to have things that happen where it's like you have to see them within a 1 minute clip on
Yeah.
like Instagram or something.
Well, the attention span these days is like what, 15 seconds? You have like 2 seconds to grab someone's attention. But all right, so we're going to start watching Simple Life Part 2 or 3 or 4, whatever it is, whatever that is. Hopefully that will start filming soon. What else was on Reddit? I know you had checked out something else, I feel like.
Yeah, let me find those real quick. So we have at least one Reddit story we could probably go over today, maybe
Mhm.
two if we really have time. Let me see what we got
Now, do
here.
you post on Reddit or are you more of a lurker?
I'm honestly more of like a lurker,
Hmm.
and I kind of just look and see kind of like what's on there. I don't ever. I posted on Reddit one time and I like regretted it like completely just because like first of all like the people on Reddit are just
It's brutal on
crazy.
there. Yes, yeah. Reddit is a tough crowd.
I have a whole hate thread about me on Reddit too.
About what?
So like this was like earlier like this year I think, and so basically like my friend sends me this Reddit post about me because they were talking about me on TikTok. And I thought that was funny that people went to go make a whole post about me on a whole separate app that I'm not even on. So that was funny.
Wow.
But like,
Oh my God.
she sends me this post and she was like happy because she was like, look, they're talking about you and they're saying these nice things. So I click on it and I don't know like what she read, but I read like these things like he's a fucking idiot. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. It was a post about me saying like generalist therapists like are taking ADHD people basically who aren't competent essentially, and we need to not do
Valid.
that. And I say that a lot on my page, right? If you're
Yeah.
not competent, don't take them, right? Especially when it's
Mhm.
like very specific issues and there's very severe like levels to this shit, right? So
Wow.
I said that, and I say that multiple times on my page, and they like took
Yep.
this on my thing, and they're just like dragging it down and calling me a fucking idiot, how they're gonna call the licensing board on me and all this
Wow.
shit. So I'm
What?
texting her back like, oh my god, like what the fuck did you see was nice about me on this post? Because
Wow. Oh my God. Unbelievable. See, that's the problem. I think you just can't have an opinion anymore. Because either way, you're going to be like either loved or hated, and people will talk shit and the keyboard warriors. And that's why I don't post on that. I feel like I'm just not.
we
I
gotta
don't
get you to do it because like
know. Now it's like all the hate comments are going to come in, I'm sure. But I mean, you have to really, I don't know. I hate that the fact that like if you're any kind of public figure these days, you're expected to have so much thick skin and just take all the shit and, oh, it doesn't bother me. These comments don't bother me. I'm fine. Whatever. But I don't know. I think you're at the end of the day, even if it's a huge celebrity, I don't care if it's like, Khloe Kardashian, like she gets a lot of hate comments. And I think she's even come out and said like, it is hard. It doesn't matter how much money or fame you have. You're still a person and this shit still hurts. It hurts when people say stuff about you. It's just not, I don't know. I hate that our society's become so quick to like talk shit and to post negative comments. It's most of the stuff that you read online, most of the comments I would say are like hate comments, controversial, mean. It's just, I feel like, ugh, icky.
And that was like the first one I ever got to, where it was like a whole thread about me. So I was like, "What is all of this?" Usually, it's like random, like little like faceless profiles where they're like, "You're fucking fat, you're gross, you sound weird," like shit like
What's
that. And
wrong
I'm just
with
like, whatever.
people? Like, honest to God, like our time on earth is so limited. It sounds so cheesy, but like you're spending your time trashing someone that you don't even know for what? Like, I mean, it's 2024. Like, are we still shaming people for like their body, how they look? Are we really doing that? I mean, that's like so. I can't believe that. It's we try to be evolved, but clearly not online.
I know. So I know. So we moved from that post, but it
Yeah.
was just whatever. But so we're gonna talk about a more fun Reddit post real quick. So we're gonna go over an "Am I the Asshole" post. I thought this would be a cute little fun one we could start
Okay.
with and see if
What
you
did they
guys
say?
like it. All right. So, am I the asshole for firing my time blind niece from babysitting over the phone? By the way, y'all, so because I'm the ADHD therapist, all of my like for you, whatever it's called on like Reddit that pops up, it's always like ADHD shit. So if y'all want something different, I try to find something different, but it's like skewed. So send me shit so I can just read it, okay?
Yes.
Because I don't
Perfect.
want to talk about ADHD all day. I'm trying to like disassociate from that too because I
Yes.
talk about it too much.
Different
But today
topics.
we're just gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's more autism, so we'll see. Anyway,
Okay.
all right. I have three kids. They are not old enough to be left alone at home. They are
Okay.
10, 8, and 7. We had a babysitter, but she's in college now and can't do it. I have a niece that is 15 and she has high functioning autism. My wife and I agreed to let her babysit when my sister asked. Easy way to have a babysitter, and she gets pocket money to spend. True.
Okay.
She babysat last week and she was late. We were able to get to our event, but it was annoying. The whole night we went and the kids had a good time. I informed her she cannot be late since we have places to be. Today my wife and I had to go to a work function and we needed to be on time. She was supposed to be babysit, but when she was 20 minutes late, I called her and told her not to come. I pulled a favor from my neighbor and we left. I got a call from my sister pissed that I fired my niece, and it's not her fault because she has time blindness. That's my niece had that my I can't even read this line. That my niece has been get Oh, then now I can see it. That's my dyslexia, y'all. That my niece has been very upset about being fired, and personally, I think it's a good life experience. Better to figure it out now before she gets a job where you clock in. My sister called me a jerk, and my wife thinks I'm being too harsh, even if she agrees that her being late is an issue. Am I the asshole?
Hmm.
Okay, Kelly, what do you think? What are
You
your
know,
first thoughts?
I have kids and I use babysitters pretty often. And, to me, being a babysitter, a nanny, it's just like any other job. You are expected to be on time. And, 99% of the time, I have to leave the house at a certain time, or I have a client, or I have stuff that I have to do. So most of the time for me, like a 20-minute being late is really going to affect me. So that I really can't have someone who's late. Although it kind of goes back to what we said at the beginning. Do you some I don't know why was she just because she forgot? I don't know. I think it depends on like the why behind there.
Yeah.
But I think too, like as the employee, you have every right to say, like, hey, I need someone that's here on time. I cannot what if they had to go to work? I don't know. Like you have responsibilities. So yeah, I think like it's kind of like any other job. Although being a therapist and trying to give grace and understand, like I would wonder why this is going on. Is this a chronic thing? Was this a one-time thing? Because that makes a difference too. But at the end of the day, again, you're paying someone for a service. If they can't show up on time, that's your right to say, hey, I this doesn't work for me any longer.
Right, exactly. Well, one of the things I was just thinking about too is like there are, employers, there are also people, she's a babysitter, right? There are people who will hire you that do have flexibility, right? In this case,
Mhm.
this family seems to not have that much
Yeah.
flexibility in their own daily life.
Yes.
And also, I think that there's like levels to this shit, right? Because
Mhm.
there's level one autism, right, which is basically like where you are in society. These are traditionally the people where we
Mhm.
don't think of them as autistic or we don't notice that they're autistic, and there's a whole movement behind that. So that doesn't mean you don't struggle, but that does mean that you have enough to where you are able to babysit someone, right? Kelly,
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong. You have a child who's autistic, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So you can even attest to this a little bit too. I'm not sure where they fall on the spectrum, but there is different levels to this.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Different levels of functioning. And yes. And of course, especially, being a parent of that, I would hope that people, but I don't know. I mean, it's a double edged sword because you want people to treat them like any other person. But then it's like
Yeah.
you also it's different. But yeah, there's levels. There's levels to everything in life. So this is a tough one. What did most of the commenters say? What side were they on?
Let's pull those out and let's see real quick.
Because
I
I'm
was
curious.
also just gonna say this too on the flip side of it. Like I'm a firm believer in like, especially with jobs like this, like if you continue to hire this person, right, then you're gonna have this thing happen over and over and over again, right? And
Mhm.
because you already don't have flexibility, you're either gonna have move on and find someone that can meet your needs,
Yes.
which means
Yep.
you probably have to pay them more too. You know what I mean? Like if they have to always be there, you're probably paying them more, so that's whatever. I'm sure if
Yeah.
you're family, you're not paying them a lot, but
Mhm.
like, that's neither here nor there. But like, if you're going to continue to hire her, then you honestly can't really expect her. She has the struggle too, right? And then time. Also, I'm just going to go on a mini rant before I read these comments. I'm going to go on a rant about time blindness because I think so many people in the ADHD and autism community, because I'm in both, right? So like, they compare, a lot of them compare time blindness to like actually being physically disabled or
Uh-huh.
being physically blind,
Mhm.
and I'm
Mhm.
like kind of just over that because I'm like, it's not real. I don't even like the term actually, just because
Mhm.
you struggle to manage time, you struggle to measure time, you're not blind to time, you know what I
Correct.
mean?
Yep. Yep.
So to
Yep.
me, I feel like using that term is almost like putting yourself in a victim mentality too, but that's just me.
Yeah, because at some point, too, even 15 is still technically a minor, but at some point, you have to take responsibility for your own, time management. Eventually, you're going to be an adult, whether you're going to school or working in a trade or having a job. Like, we're all responsible for ourselves and getting each other there. So, yeah, but again, then it's complicated too because she's family. That's why me personally, I don't ever mix like business with like family or friends because I think stuff like this happens and it really can fracture a lot of relationships, which could have been avoided if you don't use friends or family. I've seen that happen many, many times where people went into business with family or friends and it completely destroyed relationships forever. And it's just, I don't know. Personally, I don't do business with family or friends really for the most part. So.
Right. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, if you're going into some sort of business agreement, it really does skew the relationship. But I love how I'm like
Mhm.
saying this though, as I own my own company with like my wife, so that's like funny to me. But like, it
Yeah.
can skew the relationship a little bit. I
Uh-huh.
mean, even with us, like we operate good and our relationship's good, but like we even decided like maybe we should go to like couples counseling just because like we have that mixed role now, and it's like we
Mhm.
need to like figure that shit out now that we're in
Yeah.
like this different stage of life.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna go on a sub rant because we're gonna talk about one day about why people go to couples therapy too late. That's a whole other episode. I
Yes,
feel
that's
like.
yes, for sure.
All right. So top comment on this looks like
Mhm.
maybe your sister could have resisted in getting your niece to her appointment on time. Niece can set reminders on her phone to help, not the asshole. If you can't count on the person, then they are of no use for you for that job.
I agree with that. That's kind of what I had said. Yeah, it's just not a good fit for you.
And I also think this too, right? Like if someone's struggling that much with their mental health, disorder or them being on the spectrum or whatever the case they're with, right?
Mhm.
I think that they need to find something that can offer them that flexibility, which
Yeah.
given, there's a difference between resources between like a multi-million-dollar corporation that you're working for and then like a family member who's like trying to get to work. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, some of these corporations, they have the time to actually
Mhm.
train you. They have the money and the resources to
Mhm.
allow flexibility, right? You could probably get formalized accommodations, but
Yep.
like at a more informal job, you can't really have a formal accommodation of me just showing up whenever I want because I have to be on work on time myself.
Yeah, and like, do you like just because she's the aunt, is she entitled to giving her a life lesson? I don't know if that necessarily like it's not on her to teach these life lessons. Like they said, the mother maybe could have helped her minor child out, setting phone alarms. I mean, somehow people with ADHD and other spectrum disorders, whatever it is, time management issues, somehow can find. I mean, I know you work with clients. You can find ways to get them to work on time. There's lots and lots of resources, so perhaps this is a good learning opportunity for her. I don't know what she's going to do going forward with it, but that's not on the aunt to
Exactly.
teach
We
that.
have one. We have like one more other good comment on here too.
Yeah.
Having time blindness doesn't give you an automatic pass to be late everywhere, but it is a reason to set up backups like several alarms and reminders. This is especially true for a job where people are paying you to be on your schedule. If she struggles with time, she should make a point to be early rather than late. Her parents already know she has time blindness, so that means wait, so that means that they both slash all fail to implement these systems for her to be on time for her job. That is actually another point of this too. She lives with her parents too when she's a minor. So why aren't the parents like prompting her to?
Maybe they're like, hey, she needs to learn these tough lessons on her own, which I get. But unfortunately, in this case, it was at the expense of, her sister or sister-in-law, whatever that may be. So, gosh, it's tough. I think really the moral of this story is like taking responsibility. If you have a responsibility, whether it's getting to work on time, finishing a homework assignment, doing chores at home, all right, we got to get this done. How am I going to ensure that I can get this done and in the time frame that it's supposed to be done? And again, tough lesson learned. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if she'd give her another chance or what, but it's tough. We all have responsibilities and we all have to, everything's a trickle effect too, So yeah, I wonder if she's going to babysit again. I need like
I
a
wonder.
follow up to this.
I know. We need a follow up. I didn't see one on there, but
Probably
we'll look
not.
out.
I know no one ever follows up. So basically, okay, yeah. So today we talked about disassociation, Paris and Nicole coming back, some babysitting woes, yeah, some cancellations and no shows. I love it. Yeah, and we just
Talk
got to.
about me getting canceled on Reddit.
Yes, you having like a hate thread, and I hate that you had to go through that too. I just think there's no excuse for that. Again, we're in 2024. Why are we shaming people? Why are we doing this? Like, spend your time doing something else. If you hate what you're doing, all right, put that energy and go do the opposite. Go do the opposite of what this person's doing that you hate. Put that energy into like doing something good for yourself or the world or whatever. It's just people waste energy and time, and that's the saddest part about all of this.
Well, that's another thing too. I thought about too because now I like look back and I think it was actually funny, but back then I was like freaking out about it because I was like, why are these people like all on here talking about me right now?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like to me, the way I look at it now for those people that were going off, it's like, why don't you make your own page then? Like, why don't you just
Exactly.
like make your own content platform and stitch every one of my fucking videos and call me out? But you're not going to do that.
Yep. Exactly. Oh, Lord. Well, anyone who's listening, let us know what you want to hear on the next episode because we're kind of just like hot messing through all of this. But like, do you like the Reddit stories? Do you like hearing about how our therapy practice is going? Do you want to hear about like our personal lives, like dumpster diving? We need to know like what everyone wants to hear and that you'll stick with. So hit us up. I'm at Kelly Houseman on Instagram. Where can they find you?
You can find me at ADHD therapist _ J. Yeah, please let us know what you want to hear so we can increase the audience here because we want to make this podcast something really big, and we also want to afford a studio because we're tired of doing this online.
I know this. Yeah, I look a little grainy, so like, yes, we got to get together in person.
My lighting actually in my room. So this is the crap storm week ending, right? My light bulb in my room just went out before recording, and I have no light bulb, so the lighting in here shit. And I tried to like fix it, and it made it worse. Now this is what we're getting.
Yes, and it's like cloudy and gray and rainy and gross here, so that's not helping. But yes, eventually one of these days we're gonna have some guests. We're gonna have some in-person guests when we get an in-person setup going.
We have the in-person setup, the in-person equipment. We need all that.
For sure. But yes. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. And everyone just reach out. Tell us what you want to hear.
Yeah, tell us what you want to hear. Thanks, y'all.
All right, bye, guys.